My name is Leo, and I am an urban explorer, a urbex photographer. I seek out abandoned places to capture their decay. Last month, I located the abandoned Great Coast Steel Mill, a plant so massive it had its own zip code. It was sealed off and illegal to enter, but the decay was irresistible. I climbed the rusted fence late one afternoon, entering a labyrinth of towering machinery, dark catwalks, and tunnels. The air smelled thick with iron and old grease. The silence of the decay was profound, but something felt wrong. The silence felt like it was holding its breath. I was hunting for the old foundry, the heart of the mill, but instead, I found a section of the floor that had been recently sealed with heavy, new steel plating. This was strange. If the place was abandoned for 20 years, why the fresh seal? I found a loose bolt and managed to pry open the small gap. The darkness below was absolute, but the air coming from the gap was different. It smelled clean, almost sterile, mixed with a faint, sharp smell of copper. I squeezed through the gap. I was in a vast, dry, underground chamber. In the center stood a single towering piece of machinery, an old industrial stamping press, designed to crush metal with tons of force. But this machine wasn't rusted. It was clean, oiled, and looked custom-built. It had a modern digital console attached to it, completely out of place in this tomb. There was also a single bright red kill switch, prominently placed on a pillar. I approached the machine cautiously. Near the base, I saw a small, personal item on the concrete, a cheap leather wallet. I picked it up. Inside was a driver's license belonging to a man named Dennis Rourke, a former senior manager who was implicated in a huge safety scandal that closed the plant down 10 years ago, responsible for several serious accidents. The wallet was current. It wasn't old decay. Dennis Rourke had been here recently. My heart hammered. I shone my flashlight along the base of the press. The concrete was clean, but directly beneath the piston mechanism, I found a small dark area where the porous concrete was permanently stained, deep, dark red and brown. It wasn't oil. It was dried, old blood, pressed flat and wide into the stone. Whatever happened to Dennis Rourke, it had happened right here, and it had been messy. I was turning to run when I heard the sound, not the metallic settling of the old plant, but a sound I hadn't expected. The low, powerful hum of electricity being channeled to the press. Then, a slow, methodical clank, followed by the distinct sound of heavy steel cables unwinding. Someone had just activated the machine. I frantically looked for an exit, but the gap I entered through was too small to squeeze through quickly. I froze, hiding behind a metal drum. The machine was humming louder. I heard a soft footstep on the main floor above the chamber. Someone was moving. I held my breath, looking into a small, oily pool of water on the floor. In the dark reflection, I saw a figure walk past the gap I came through. A tall, heavily built person in old, dark overalls, wearing a thick, dirty welding mask that completely obscured their face. The reflection was distorted, terrifying. The operator didn't see me, but he knew I was down here. He walked over to the digital console and pressed a button. A loud, bone-shaking crunch echoed through the room as the massive piston descended, testing its crushing strength. He was sending a message. I had to get to the red kill switch. It was my only chance. I darted out from behind the drum, crawling low toward the pillar. I reached the pillar, stretching my hand up to slam the kill switch. I heard the operator running towards me. I hit the switch just as his massive, heavy-booted foot slammed down on my arm. He didn't kick. He stepped on it, using his full weight. The sharp pain was blinding. I heard the sickening, grinding sound of my ulna snapping under the pressure of his boot. The machine died instantly as the switch activated. The operator hesitated, then slowly lifted his boot. I screamed silently, clutching my broken arm. He stared down at me through the dark glass of his welding mask. He didn't chase me. He simply pointed to the base of the press, then to the wallet I had dropped, then back to my arm. The meaning was clear. This machine is for retribution, and you are not the target. Yet, the operator slowly turned away, walking back to the control panel, apparently determined to override the kill switch. That gave me my chance. I scrambled back toward the tight gap, dragging my shattered arm behind me. The pain was paralyzing, but the image of the blood-stained concrete under the press forced me forward. I managed to squeeze through the gap, my camera gear scraping uselessly on the steel plate. I crawled out of the plant and into the dark night, adrenaline masking the pain. I didn't stop until I reached the main, rusted gate. I looked back at the colossal mill. There were no lights on, but deep within the structure, I heard the faint, distant whir of the press starting up again. He had bypassed the switch. I threw myself over the fence and ran to my car, leaving a smear of blood on the rusting iron. The police found my car and the blood, but they couldn't enter the sealed plant. The FBI eventually took the case. They confirmed that Dennis Rourke had been missing for weeks. They also found evidence that the old mill contained several sealed-off areas related to unsolved disappearances of other corporate executives involved in the safety scandal. The terrifying realization hit me in the hospital. The man in the welding mask wasn't a monster hunting random victims. He was the foreman's justice, likely a former worker whose friends or family were killed by the neglect of the executives like Rourke. He hadn't meant to kill me. He had simply wanted to use the press for its custom purpose. Retribution for industrial murders. Making the corrupt managers pay the price using the very machine they disregarded. He was a vigilante of the machine. I wear a metal plate in my forearm now, a constant reminder of the sound of that press. The Great Coast Steel Mill was eventually demolished, but sometimes, late at night, when the city is quiet, I swear I can still hear the distant, methodical whir of heavy steel cables unwinding, followed by a low, powerful crunch. I know the foreman is still out there, finding new victims for his unique, mechanical form of justice.